For it, I got locomotives. Used to be on a revenge tip, on a stun on my ex and a friend's tip. I was Spider-Man whipping the black suit. I was powerful but almost lost Luke. Blurring the line between human and artist. Try not to change, but I swear it's the hardest. I swear when you're up, they turn you to a target. Home was a trip, all I did when I'm talking. So, what it take to be an icon? All in your desktop, so I just might already be one. My me with the label, it feels on the table one time, but I'm down for a free lunch. Just speaking my heat-seeking missiles of hits, but other than me, I see no heat exists. Yo, gassed up, I'm about to go green. Go green, go green. Hulk smash if she know me. Know me, know me. Write it to life like I'm Stan Lee. Stan Lee, Stan Lee. If life's about to be a cold war, I'm the hero that they asked for. Green, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go green. I'm about to go green. Get the fuck back, I'm about to go green. I might begin making a feature Iraq. Cause when I hit your beat, I turn shit to Iraq. Dropping bombs like I'm cursing you out. This your house, then I'm kicking you out. Quiet as a mouse, came in the game, not a word is out that I've been lighting the flame. Shit is potent, don't you know it? I've been flowing, steady growing till they know the name. Saw it ahead of time, knew that I'd get to my losing myself in the view, there's some window pain. I swear I'm all about peace, I'm a positive person. Wasn't always like that, you know it took me some learning. They asked me how I push a positive light, how I keep my composure through internal fights when addressing the mic through these dark nights. Where the Bruce Wayne, what a trick me. Here's some truth that I'll let free. Bruce Banner of rap if you ask me. When my will to win and the track meet, the secret is I'm always angry. Yo, gassed up, I'm about to go green. Go green, go green. Hulk smash if she know me. Know me, know me. Write it to life like I'm Stan Lee. Stan Lee, Stan Lee. If life's about to be a cold war, I'm the hero that they asked for. Green, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go green. I'm about to go green. Get the fuck back, I'm about to go green.
Hey, good evening. Thank you guys for being here. Changed up the intro song today. Just wanted to give a shout out to Abstract. He's an amazing artist. He reached out to me on TikTok and said, "Hey man, thanks for using my music." And I appreciate that young man, that he turned into an alternative music artist instead of a rapper like he used to be, but I still rock with all his old stuff. I apologize to everybody who wrote their questions in advance. Unfortunately, the live chat reset on me and I can't see any of the previous questions. I apologize. I did read some of them, so I have them memorized, so I'll do my best to answer them. Remember, if I read something once, I never forget it. It's just the way my mind works. I am special in that regard. So it just happens. Today's show, you guys know the deal. Your questions will drive the Q&A second half of it. But for the most part, I'm going to initially start with what's trending in sports, like I always do. So let's get after it. Thank you guys for being here. If you're on TikTok, shout out to you. Thank you for supporting the channel and watching me. Thank you for the 10,000 likes so far in the pregame. But if you want to ask me questions, you got to go over to YouTube. Got to jump in the live chat and ask the question there. That's the only place I'm interacting with people. I get paid a lot more money over there for my live streams instead of here. So let's go. Back to what we were saying. What's trending? So what's trending in the world of sports is, if you read the ESPN article, ESPN has a headline and it says, some Commanders, which are players, some Commanders players, they forgot the apostrophe there because they belong to the Commanders. So shout out to the copy editors who don't know how to do headlines. But some Commanders players are concerned by Eric Bieniemy's, there's the apostrophe we're looking for, intensity, Ron Rivera says. So head coach Ron Rivera says the players are concerned with Eric Bieniemy's intensity. I want to make this very clear. This is not a head coach telling the world, oh, some of my players are concerned with this guy. Nope. This is throwing him under the bus and undermining him to the fullest. This is ridiculous. If you are a head coach, and trust me, Ron Rivera did not want Eric Bieniemy on his sideline. He did not want him on his coaching staff. He was told, this guy's your new offensive coordinator. Deal with it. Right now he's the head coach in waiting, the associate assistant coach, the associate head coach. Let me tell you guys something. When a head coach goes out and says the players are concerned about your intensity, why in the hell would you leak that to the public? I'll tell you why. It's because you want to put it out there. You don't think this guy's a very good coach. You want to undermine him. You want to throw him under the bus. You don't ever say this out loud. Not to the public. You can have a team meeting, shut the door, and say, yo, or have a coaches meeting. Shut the door and say, hey, yo, EB, the players say you're a little too rough on him. The players say, this shit's too rough. You got to tone it down a bit, bro. They're not receptive to your leadership style. And I'm not talking out of control. I'm telling you guys this firsthand. I am a first sergeant in the Army. I am a master sergeant in the Army. I've been in charge of organizations of hundreds of people. I've had platoon sergeants, guys who've been in the Army 12 to 15 years. When you watch an Army movie, the guy that's yelling at everybody is the platoon sergeant. The high-ranking dude you see with the rocker underneath his rank, staff sergeant, then the sergeant first class. Every single movie, the highest-ranking dude is an E7 sergeant first class. He's a hard ass. He's harder than woodpecker lips. Dude is mean as hell, running the show. And he's earned every stripe he's got, and he's got a lot of respect. I'm in charge of those guys. And every now and then, the young private will come to me with an open door policy. The young soldier will come to me and will say, hey, first sergeant, I would like to use your open door policy. Yeah, what's going on? Hey, well, Sergeant so-and-so is just yelling at everybody, cussing us all out, making us stay late. He kicked over my tray. He did this. He did that. He spit on the floor. He spit on my boot. All kinds of nonsense. The shit I've heard platoon sergeants doing to these young soldiers is outrageous. Sometimes it gets a little outrageous. Now, there are times when the kids are complaining, and I look at them. It'll be like a 10-year veteran complaining about some shit. I'll look at him and say, get out of my office. Suck it up. You aren't good enough. I don't have a problem with this leadership style because I support that leader. There are times my platoon sergeants are so good, I know what they're doing, and I support them. Because I'm the senior leader, bro. I got to support them. Now there's some that need mentorship, and I will mentor them. I'll bring them into the office, and I will talk to them one-on-one with a closed door. And I'll say, hey, Battle, what are you doing? Hey, Sergeant, what are you doing? Listen to me. And I will mentor them and make sure they don't make the same mistake again. Hey, I'm getting complaints from your soldiers about this, that, or the other. But the one thing I won't do is try to correct him in front of his subordinates. Ron Rivera is putting this out for the world to see, not just the players. He's putting it out for the media to see. Now all the players get to see that the head coach doesn't agree with the way he coaches. And Ron Rivera went as far as to say, well, he's just never been a head coach. He doesn't know how to do it. He said Jack Del Rio knows how to do it because he's been a head coach before. EB just hasn't had that opportunity. That experience is what he said. That experience. It's right here. It's a quote. I'm not making this up. It's right here. He says, as a coach, I have to assimilate and get a feel for everybody. Eric has an approach, and it's been the way he does things. It's not going to change because he believes in it. In other words, Eric does not adjust his leadership style for the circumstance. He doesn't believe in it. He's a hard ass. Then he says, Jack has his approach. Having been a head coach, I think Jack has a tendency to try to figure guys out a little bit more as opposed to, here it is, this is the way it's going to be, that type of stuff. Eric hasn't had that experience yet. Bro, you don't say this. This reminds me of the Browns locker room. Remember in Hard Knocks? When your boy, who was it, Hubie, whatever his name was? Oh, the worst. And there was this little bickering back and forth, but you understood it. One coach was saying guys were going to be allowed to skip practice. Another coach was saying, hell no. Todd Haley was like, we're not doing this because Todd Haley's a grown-ass man and knows how to lead men into battle. You can't do this shit, bro. But look, why would you do it, though? That's the question. Why? Because you don't want Eric Bieniemy to take your job. You don't think he deserves to be a head coach. You'd rather Jack Del Rio get the head coaching job. He's already been a head coach before, and he failed at it. Now, I'm not saying Eric Bieniemy's not a good coach or a great coach. I'm not saying he goes about it the right way. What I'm saying is, if you want to make a correction and you want it to resonate with your subordinate, with your assistant, you do it behind closed doors and not in front of everybody. You know, I once dropped a sergeant for push-ups. I didn't do it in front of his soldiers. We went around the building, and I dropped him for push-ups where nobody else could see. I said, start pushing, bro. You lost your damn mind. Start pushing. And then I told him, get up, clean yourself off, and we go around this corner, fix yourself. And he did. Never make him push in front of his subordinates. Never call out your coach in public so all the players can see that you have their back and they're concerned. This guy's trying to be a player's coach, but he's doing it the wrong way. He's alienating his subordinate leadership. This is not good. I'm not cool with this. Shout out to Ron Rivera, who should be unemployed. Next story. A little lighter. They're saying there's a Vikings rookie quarterback that could steal the show in Seattle at the preseason game. They're going to let this rookie quarterback named Jaron Hall play in the game because Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson ain't playing. So Jaron Hall is going to be balling, bruh. Why is this significant to me? Well, because, guys, in the NFL draft, I told you Jaron Hall was my number 2 quarterback. That's right. My number 1 quarterback was Jake Haener, and my number 2 was Jaron Hall. And when these young men got to these teams, they realized real quick, hey, these are real football players. Now, here's the thing. No, they're not going to get starting positions. They're behind bona fide starters, entrenched starters. But the teams who drafted them understand what they drafted. They drafted football players. And that's what I evaluate. The fact that you were drafted in the first round and there was no other quarterback on that roster, and that's why you're the starter, shout out to Carolina, shout out to Texas, wherever, Houston. I just don't care about that kind of stuff. What I care about is evaluating players and saying, that guy's an NFL football player. And Jaron Hall is an NFL football player. Now, how he does in his first preseason game, I'll never know. Right? I can remember 1989, the first preseason game I ever saw. Let me tell you guys this. The first preseason game I ever saw, I was 7 years old. It was 1989. It was the Chicago Bears, and I don't remember who it was against. But it was the Chicago Bears, and they had a running back who was, I think he was undrafted. But he was like the second leading rusher in the history of college football, second to only Tony Dorsett at the time. His name was Johnny Bailey out of Texas A&I. I think they've changed the school name nowadays, but it was Texas A&I back in the day. And they're talking about all these other players. And then Johnny Bailey came in. I don't know if it was the second quarter or the second half, but he broke for a 55-yard touchdown run on his first carry. Now, he didn't make it much in the NFL. Wasn't a great running back. He was a great kickoff returner. But there was, Neil Anderson was there. There was other players. But for that brief moment, at 7 years old, I had an epiphany. Holy shit. There are extremely talented players not starting. There are guys on the bench that could take it to the house right now. Shout out to Johnny Bay in the College Football Hall of Fame. And lately I've been watching a lot of high school film because I watch all these kids play. And every player I evaluate, I go, oh my God, they missed on this guy. They missed on this guy. It's everywhere. Texas A&I changed their name to Kingsville. Go the Javelinas. If you guys don't know what a javelina is, I can't help you, bruh. It's the biggest rodent in the world. I used to go running in Arizona, and I would come a whole group of javelinas would run up on me. Shout out to Jaron Hall. I hope he plays his ass off. I'm so excited for it. I'm actually going to save that because I want to make a video about it. I'm going to make a TikTok about it. All right. Brother of former NFL star sentenced to 37 years in prison. So this is Aqib Talib, the wannabe gangsters. So Talib and his brother, they say they're about that life. They say they're gangsters. They've always been about that life. Gun charges, arrests, all this stuff. Well, they're really about it apparently. Because Talib, they were having a youth football game. And Talib's brother, somebody knocked a football out of his hand. There was an argument over a call. It was a youth football game. And his brother pulled out a gun and killed one of the coaches on the other staff. And he's no longer here anymore. 37 years, bro. I hope it was worth it. I hope your 12-year-old who saw you do it was so inspired by you. Absolute ridiculous nonsense. This man pled guilty to get those 37 years. Pled guilty to get 37 years. Absolutely absurd. Couldn't believe it. All right. Possibly a Mountain West Pac-12 merger. Gets honest take from Wyoming AD. So, a couple things. Firstly, there's reports out there. San Diego State tried to get the Mountain West, the Pac-12, and the top teams from the American to all merge together to create a Power 5 conference. So they wanted to take the best teams from the American, best teams from the Mountain West, and then the four remaining teams from the Pac-12. and go out and get a TV deal. Because remember, guys, the $20 million offered by Apple, that's a lot of money to these Group of 5 conferences for sure. They're not getting $20 million a year. They're getting 11. They're getting 10. Okay? But you got to remember this. When you lose your marquee brands, your programs, your revenue goes down immediately. Let me explain. The Big 12's TV revenue was $22 million a year. Now, shout out to Yormark, the commissioner, getting the TV deal done and all this. But I'm just talking about estimations. Back when they were losing Oklahoma and Texas, their TV revenue went from $22 million a year. The estimated revenue was $11 million. $7 to $11 million. They were going to be 40 to 50% in revenue. That meant the rest of the teams in that conference aren't worth anything. When you look at the Pac-12 and what they're worth with USC and UCLA departing, that was the issue. And now that you've had all these other programs departing, you got to ask yourself, what are these teams worth collectively? Like, what do they bring to the table? You'd be surprised why the Big 12 expanded the way they did. The Big 12 expanded initially with 4 teams, right? Look at the 4 teams they grabbed. They grabbed teams with huge enrollments. Huge enrollment. UCF is like top 3 in the entire country. And they ain't third. Okay? UCF, huge enrollment. I want to say they're only second to A&M. They go and grab BYU, huge TV market and enrollment. Houston, the 4th biggest city in America. And then they grab Cincinnati for a quality team that can actually win it and play games. And they wanted to go out and expand up in Ohio. Big 12 is not playing. They wanted to expand and grow. And the reason why this is significant is the Big 12 is going to go back to the negotiation. They got a TV contract with ESPN and Fox. It's a combination. ESPN has the primary portion of it. It's called the A bucket or something. And they're going to go back to negotiate in 2031. You know why that's significant? Because they're going to be at the negotiation table first. They're renegotiating their deal before ACC, before SEC. 2031, they're the first ones at the table again. And this time, they're going to be healthy. And they're going to get more money than they just got. You know what's appealing about the Big 12? If you look at their conference championship for the last 5 years, look at their conference championship for the last 5 years. Guess who's not in there? How about the last 3 years? Those departing teams, Texas and Oklahoma, they can't even talk about how they were winning the conference because they weren't playing in the conference championship game or another team was. It's just the reality of the situation. There's parity there. There's parity and competitiveness. Oh, by the way, they were back-to-back national champs in basketball. Winning March Madness is a very big deal. So before UConn won this year, it was 2 years in a row, Big 12. They have a leg to stand on. They have a lot to sell. So when you look at Wyoming, why does Wyoming's AD even matter? He wasn't going to be a part of the move, was he? Oh, yes, he was. If you're going to merge with the Mountain West, the one team that's going to get a say in all this is Wyoming, which sounds crazy. But Tom Berman, the guy they interview for this thing, Tom Berman's very careful. He says, for Wyoming, we're very proud of who we are. We're one of the original founders of the original WAC, the Western Athletic Conference, and the original members of the Mountain West Conference. Anytime you're a plank holder, and plank holder means you're an originator of that conference, you're going to get a lot of pull and have a lot of say at the table. People are going to respect you because you're a loyal member of the conference. Okay? But this boy right here, Tom Berman, he says, we've been an important cog in the history of this league and the history of the WAC, and we've been successful. We have a passionate fan base, albeit small, but passionate, this last part. So we feel like we're positioned well, but we're not going to take anything for granted. Guys, he's saying we're not leaving just to go get the Pac-12 name. We're not leaving just to get the Pac-12 name. We're going to be loyal to our brand. But what's so important is you guys got to know who Tom Berman is. Tom Berman is the longest tenured athletic director in the Mountain West. Okay? He's one of 13 members on the College Football Playoff Committee. This man is respected in the profession. And when you look at Wyoming, they have 10 athletic teams with a perfect APR, perfect academic progress rate, meaning every single player on the team graduated. These are things that will keep you employed forever. And this man has a lot of pull in the world of Mountain West football. So if you don't have Tom Berman's vote, you're not going to get a whole lot. So when San Diego State went in there and tried to convince the conference to merge and flip and do these things, dude, they were pitching it to all the presidents. Wyoming just looked over and said, hey, Tom, what should we do? And Tom said, pound sand, bro. We're not going nowhere. We're going to stay together. We don't need these clowns. And we already know that San Diego State doesn't want to be in the Mountain West. They're scrambling to do anything. San Diego State's looking silly right now. San Diego State's trying to go, come on, guys, let's go. Let's go do this. Let's go. Bro, we know you're not happy in your marriage. Get a divorce. Stop trying to convince us to go on vacations with you, bro. We don't trust you. Tripping. Transfer portal update. 2 more Northwestern players found homes and at pretty solid programs. Chico Holt going to Stanford. Shout out to Stanford for allowing a transfer. They usually don't allow undergraduate transfers, but they've been doing their part. So, I'm proud of them. They got themselves a new tight end coming in. We'll see what he can do. And Jeremiah Lewis going to Duke. Just like I love Duke. I love everything Duke's doing. I don't know how long Elko's going to be the head coach there. He's so damn good he might get hired elsewhere. A&M, if Jimbo falls flat on his face, hire Elko. Man, I hope that comes true. I'll be laughing all the way to the bank. All the way to the bank, y'all. Give me Elko to A&M. If you don't know, now you know, player. I'm going to move that over because I think I'm going to make a video about it. Let's keep going. Unfortunately, it's the time of the year where the NCAA denies waivers. So, if you guys don't know, when you transfer, you can transfer to schools all you want. You get one first transfer. You get one freebie. You get a transfer. You go to school, you don't like it, transfer. After that, wherever you go, graduate. That's the message from the NCAA. Graduate. If you're a graduate, you can transfer where the hell you want. Nobody's going to tell you anything. You've already paid your dues to that school. You've earned it. You got a degree. Be a graduate transfer. You go wherever you want. And you're eligible immediately. Now, the only other circumstance where you can transfer a second time is if your coach is fired. And within 30 days, you can hit the transfer portal. Shout out to Northwestern. That just happened, right? And all those players hit the portal for free. It's not going to hurt them. It's not going to be a problem. That's it, man. There's nothing else. Now, yes, you can file a hardship waiver and do another transfer. And there's been some bullshit excuses. Justin Fields claiming he was a victim of verbal racial slurs so he could transfer to Ohio State and be eligible immediately was absolute horseshit. But he hired an attorney and it got approved. Shout out to his sister who still attends the school where he was verbally assaulted. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Makes zero sense to me that you claim you were a victim of racial slurs and then a couple years later your baby sister can still go to the same school where you were racially assaulted. Like, what? I'm still not on that shit, bro. I go somewhere, I have bad service, we don't go back. If I went somewhere and someone called me a racial slur, I'm a Mexican man, somebody went in there talking shit to me, am I really coming back? Am I going to send my little brother over there? Hey, man, you should eat at this restaurant. Hey, it's amazing. You should go work at this place. I know I was racially discriminated there, but you should go there. They'll treat you different. I don't believe your story. So, what happens here is the players will come up with bullshit reasons to transfer and try to become eligible. And that's where shit gets problematic. So here we go. Darrell Jackson, hardship waiver, denied. Now, it was denied. They did an appeal. It got denied again. But this is a young man that transferred from Miami to Florida State and says he's doing it to take care of his mother for a chronic medical condition, chronic illness, chronic sickness, whatever it is, bro. He's going home to take care of his mom. And, when you say something negative about it, everybody gets up in arms. You don't know his problems. You don't know his... Here's what I know. I know the NCAA investigated it and denied it twice now. And I know this young man said he was going to Florida State, and then he flipped and changed his mind and said he was going back to Miami, and then he flipped again and went back to Florida State. And while he was flipping it back and forth and not deciding where he wanted to go, was his mom getting better and then worse and then better and then worse? I need to understand. Does your mom have a chronic injury or not? When did this chronic illness come about? Because you out of high school, you went to Maryland. And then you transferred to Miami. Was that to get to your mom? No, that was just because you wanted playing time. Okay. Now you're at Miami. Why are you transferring to Tallahassee? And Mike Norvell's been recruiting this kid the whole time. Recruited him out of high school. I don't believe shit they're saying. NCAA doesn't buy it either. Ineligible. Darrell Jackson can't play this year. Drake May, I tell you guys, he's not going to have a good year. Lost his entire starting secondary. Lost his offensive coordinator. Drake May was the team's leading rusher last year. And then he lost Josh Downs to the NFL. It's an NFL caliber wide receiver, obviously. Lost Antoine Green to the NFL caliber wide receiver. So they got to replace their wide receivers. First they got Nate McCollum, a slot receiver out of Georgia Tech. And then they got this man right here, Tez Walker. Tez Walker's a baller from Kent State. Balled out last year. And he's going to be Drake May's number one target. Well, just got word. He can't play this year either. Why? Because his hardship waiver was to be closer to grandma because grandma's dying. I got news for you, Tez Walker. Everybody's grandmother is dying. Well, my grandmother hasn't ever seen me play. She lives out in Charlotte. She lives in Charlotte. You're from Charlotte. She's never seen you play? Fly her out, bruh. She's not going to see you play. I hope she don't die, dude. Like, the excuses don't fly. The excuses don't fly. And what you guys need to know is this is really his fourth school. I made a video that said it was his third school. It's his fourth school. I think he started at East Tennessee, but because he got injured, he gray-shirted. Never played, but he was there. Then he transferred to Central. North Carolina Central. They canceled the season for COVID. He didn't play. And then he transferred again, and this time he went to Kent State. He finally played. He's only played 2 seasons. He's only played at one school. This is his fourth school. He's transferring again? NCAA don't play that, bro. NCAA came out with a new rule last year, and they told you, we're not going to approve that second hardship waiver. First one, maybe. Second one, graduate. You're in college. You ain't a free agent. You need to graduate. Won't play. So now, the word is, who's left? I'll tell you who's left. Eric Gilbert is left. Eric Gilbert just transferred from Georgia to Nebraska. Former 5-star tight end. Hey, and shout out to Terrence Edwards, former University of Georgia great. I almost called him Georgia University because I like to clown him. By the way, I call them Georgia University, and Florida is FU, Florida University. But anyways, Terrence Edwards wrote to me personally, wants to have a conversation face-to-face with me about Eric Gilbert because I don't know the man, and he knows the player, and I'm doing that, and you're making all this money off black players' backs, and blah, blah, blah. Terrence Edwards, how you like me now, bruh? I'm making money off of everybody. Everybody. And this poor young man, Eric Gilbert, I think he's an exceptional player. Loved watching him play in high school. Shout out to Marietta. Shout out to winning a state title. He had amazing teammates. I'm telling you right now, leading rusher at Troy, on that same team. Leading receiver at UNLV, on that same team. Scrub-ass Harrison Bailey, on that same team. So, poor Eric Gilbert coming out of high school, he goes to LSU, starts as a true freshman. Great job. And then he leaves after 1 year. Said he was going to enroll at Florida. That didn't work out. Now he's at Georgia, sitting the bench for 2 years because there's other good players. Finds himself on the depth chart. And he's like, man, who's this kid Oscar Delp beating me on the depth chart? I'm out of here. And now he's headed to Nebraska. Well, guess what? Cool story, bro. You're not eligible. As of right now, not eligible. And I believe Nebraska's preparing for him not to be able to play this year. That's got to suck. Mentally, it's got to suck. And they already told me he's fragile mentally. More power to him. I wish the young man well. I want him to play. I believe in Eric Gilbert. But, you keep changing your mind to go to different schools. The NCAA doesn't care. They don't want to approve that. And speaking of changing your mind, I told you guys I don't talk about recruiting. This corner here, Dakota Fields flips to Oregon. You guys want to hear why he says he's flipping to Oregon? He says he's flipping to Oregon because they joined the Big Ten. He was committed to USC, going to the Big Ten, and he's flipping to Oregon because now they're in the Big Ten. What? That logic is nuts, bro. Dakota Fields, whatever, dude. Let me tell you something. These are high school kids, okay? They're not consistent. What's the most inconsistent thing in the world? A 16 to 22-year-old man. Ask any girl out there who's getting cheated on and left at the altar or getting dumped and they're changing their mind all the time. This happens, bro. It's normal. It's immature. Give me a better excuse. It doesn't even make sense. Doesn't even make sense. Hey, shout out to the Cowboys. They're starting defensive tackle, Mazi Smith, by the way. Mazi Smith does have character concerns. He's been on the up and up lately, but he does have character concerns. He was suspended multiple times while at Michigan. Big man, but apparently he had to sit out of practice, got an MRI on his knee. I hope it turns out all right. It's not ideal. Hope it'll be okay. But right now he has strained knees. Yeah, man, you're heavy. They're telling me the Jaguars have a new facility, $120 million practice facility, and all I keep hearing about is they have the most advanced urinals. Urinals. If you have a green light at the urinal when you're pissing, that means you're hydrated. If it's yellow, you probably need some hydration. If it's red, go get an IV. This is real. They got urinals that'll tell you this shit. Bro, I don't know about you guys. I'm a grown man. When I go to the urinal, there's a couple things that go wrong. If I go up to the urinal and there's anything in there, I think it's gross. People spitting their gum in there. All you Neanderthals out there that got to share a public bathroom with, you guys are all disgusting to me. I'm telling you right now. There's nothing worse than piss on the floor, gum in there, and the dude who keeps trying to talk to me while I'm pissing. We don't need to have a conversation about a damn thing. Not the movie, not the game, not the girl, not the music, not the fight. You talk to me while I got my junk in my hand, we're fighting. Stop talking to me while I'm taking a piss. I don't care about your urinals, Jacksonville. I don't. It's absolutely absurd. You don't know your hydration level? I'm kind of thirsty, bro. All right. I was looking at this transaction wire. Shout out to Teddy Bridgewater, getting another shot, just signed with the Lions. That's cool. Jacob Copeland, after getting released, gets signed to the Minnesota Vikings. If you guys don't know Jacob Copeland, he was actually a Florida wide receiver, and then he transferred to Maryland. So more power to him. See here. Cephas Johnson getting a shot. James Blackman. We had to know James Blackman was going to get cut. Former Florida State great. Got cut, went to Arkansas State. And he's here, undrafted, so he's gone as well. And we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. All right, before we go green again, let's go to the chat and see what you guys got to say. Thanks for being here. 29 minutes on the dot, man. We're getting good at this. Thank you for the questions. Sorry that they went away. Here we go. Rico. Tyler McNamee's back. I remember this guy's question from yesterday. He had a good question yesterday. Let's see if he has another one. Gentleman says, Rico, which coach is the biggest snake oil salesman? And then he put in parentheses, least genuine. Bruh, I know what you mean by snake oil salesman. In the Power 5, and who do you think are actually genuine Power 5 coaches? So, the biggest snake oil salesman is Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart told a kid, you're a once in a decade recruit. You're a once-in-a-decade prospect. He was the offensive lineman from Grayson. What was his name? Gosh, I could look it up. But the point is, after 1 or 2 years, Kirby Smart told him, hey, you're not in our plans. You're not in our 2 deep. You're out of here. Yep. That's what he told the kid's mom. You're a one-in-a-decade type of recruit. He lied to him, bro. It's just bullshit. And I believe he and Jimbo Fisher are much the same. They just go out there and say anything they can to get a kid signed. I can't stand it. Flying into high school games on your helicopter? You're not Kobe, bro. Stop using a helicopter. You didn't learn? Flying in on a helicopter? Look, you don't even recruit the best players from your state. You don't even recruit. Stop saying you're Georgia and you're Georgia football. You don't even recruit players from Georgia. All the top players from Georgia go to Clemson and Alabama. He doesn't even recruit players from the state of Georgia. He's a bum. Can't stand that dude. Most genuine Power 5 coaches. Chris Kleiman at K-State just always comes to mind immediately. Okay? Jeff Traylor at UTSA. Number 2 for me. Just genuine guys who are doing shit the right way. Those two come to mind. You don't see a lot of departures from their school in the transfer portal because they're treating their players right. They're recruiting and developing the players. I got Chris Kleiman, Jeff Traylor, and most genuine head coaches. Do I got to go 3? I guess Troy Taylor, the newly hired Stanford head coach, but that's just me thinking that man is great. It's tough. Hey, Rico, did you see Jamal Edrin tore his ACL? That sucks, bro. I got to make a video on that. Damn it. So Jamal Edrin is an absolute baller of a wide receiver. XYZ, guys. You guys know XYZ? X receiver is the outside receiver, the number 1 receiver. Y is your slot, and then Z is your outside, your other receiver, the one that's off the line of scrimmage. He's an X receiver. He's a number 1 receiver. And he played at FAU last year. He just transferred. He's the second leading receiver at FAU, but when you turn on the tape, Jamal Edrin is everything. And he just got injured. Damn, that sucks. And that sucks for Purdue, too, and Hudson Card, because that was going to be, oh, my God. I feel terrible for that young man. All right, moving on. Hello, everyone. Make sure you hit that like button. Thank you very much. If you guys want any Rico Knows merch, you guys know the deal. RicoKnows.org. Go to the website, RicoKnows.org. We got shirts for days. We got everything you need. Georgia football is in the news again. I can't wait for the show today. Yeah, Seth. Georgia went and fired the survivor of a car crash. So the crash killed 2 people. There was a passenger in the backseat. She's suing Georgia. Because, hey, man, you enabled this terrible driver, repeat offender, super speeder, 19-year-old, to have a rented SUV. She's suing them for neglect. Look, guys, what I would equate this to, and I don't want to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to give it to you straight. Everybody's like, why is Georgia at fault at this? Georgia knew she had driving problems. Georgia never restricted her from driving. They knew that she was a perennial speeder. She was a super speeder. Georgia would go to court to talk down her fines. This is a fact. Georgia would go to the court. There's a guy, I'm forgetting his name. I can pull it up if I wanted to. But there's a guy who would go to court. He's the fixer. Shows up and gets the fines, paid and get him off the books, and so nobody has to talk about it. This girl was being treated this way, getting the hookup, and Georgia gave her an SUV. Now people tell me, Rico, she took it without them knowing. She took it without them knowing. I don't give a shit. Then have positive key control. You can't take the cars out of my motor pool. Let me tell you, you can't go draw a weapon or a vehicle out of my motor pool or out of my arms room. I got positive control. I got key control. So for Georgia to have the neglect to enable this person to take one of their SUVs, something she could never rent on her own because she's underage. You can't rent a car at 19. And then she goes, crashes, dies, and kills one of the players and injures this girl in the back seat. Yeah, you got to pay the girl in the back seat, bro. She's suing you for neglect, and you guys are neglectful. Somebody said to me, well, she chose to speed, and they chose to crash and die. How's this Georgia's fault? And I'm like, well, let me explain. Let's say you have a player, and he beats up girls. He's a domestic violence person, and he's guilty of domestic violence. He's been arrested for it. There's court records of it. And then you go and furnish him a new girlfriend. Multiple girlfriends to choose from. And you just kind of walk away and just say, hey, it's on him, man. And he kills one of them. It's on him, bro. He's just a bad person. We didn't do nothing. No, you enabled a habitual offender to kill someone. Remember, somebody died, bro. Not just 1, 2 people. I hate to make it that ugly and that harsh, but it's the reality. There are people no longer here. And the university enabled it. And more importantly, they fostered an environment where speeding's okay. And we're still seeing that till this day. So this girl was speeding, and she won't stop speeding until she died, and killed one of the players and injured the girl in the back seat. You gotta give her her due, man. You're gonna lose in court. Neglect is there. So they fire her because they wanted to see her cell phone. I got some guy telling me, Rico, it was a company cell phone. What if it was a school-issued cell phone? They have every right to go through a school-issued cell phone. Dude, look, if she's suing you, bro, you should have a no-contact order with this girl. You shouldn't be interrogating her. You shouldn't be trying to shake her down and intimidate her. That's all this is. I'm winning in court every day on that shit. I'm telling you right now. I don't like it at all. I think Georgia's distasteful. I think they're obtuse and tone deaf in this situation. What they should have done is been apologetic and tried to make everybody square. Try to take care of everything. Pay for funerals, pay for the injuries, give her money, whatever, dude. We're trying, hey, my bad, 2 people died. Instead, Georgia's doing this other shit where they're like, oh, it ain't our fault. It ain't our fault. Nope. Show me the charges. They're doing that shit, and I can't get down with that entire mindset at all. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you weren't covering the draft in 2022. What were your thoughts on Isaiah Pacheco, Robert Lopez? Robert Lopez, my thoughts are when Pacheco came out in the draft, I wasn't covering it. I wasn't on TikTok at the time or YouTube, but I watch every draft in my entire adult life, my entire life. I've watched every NFL draft since like 1991 for sure. I remember Emmitt Smith being drafted in '89, so I just know I've watched every draft. Even when I was deployed, I watched the drafts. So serious. I wasn't high on Isaiah Pacheco. I was not. And I don't think that you should be. I don't think that people should look at individual, what are they called? Anecdotes. And then think that that's the... Like, you shouldn't try to guess where lightning's going to strike. Never do that. And I'm telling you guys this. I assess talent. I look for stories. I do things. Never, ever try to guess where lightning's going to strike. You want to be a great coach or an evaluator of talent or be, like me, I give sports takes all day long. Bro, I don't sit here and try to give hot takes and hope that they land. Do the inverse. Try to find the people who aren't going to work out. Don't tell me where lightning strikes. Tell me if it's going to rain or not. You'll be a lot more consistent if you tell me who's not going to be a superstar. Tell me who won't be a bust. Don't tell me the guy who's... Don't try to guess at the next... like when they keep doing this Anthony Richardson thing. Oh, he's going to be a star. He's going to be a mega star. He's going to be... All those guys saying this shit, if they're wrong, they don't lose their job. They're just going just fine. No big deal. But they bring no value to a GM. If I was sitting next to a GM, the value I would bring to him is to tell him who is not going to translate. Who don't you need to draft? If I can steer my franchise not to take busts, not to take substandard people or players, that's a lot more valuable than trying to guess at who's going to be the next Hall of Famer or the next lightning strike. So if you're looking at 7th rounders, I'm not saying, people always go, oh, Rico, were you high on this guy? Were you high on this guy? Nah, we're not doing that shit. I just evaluated 259 draft picks in this year's draft, and I made videos on every single person and player. You see my NFL draft preview? NFL draft review? I did it, right? I didn't give grades on the draft. I just talked about the individual players and where I see them panning out. You know how many I Am Right videos I made so far? 3. I've been right about 3 of the 259 guys so far, and we haven't even played a game yet. And we're going to keep going. And it'll be 3 years from now when a guy gets cut and I go, I told you guys he wasn't going to make it to a second contract. But nobody's listening because they're all looking for who's going to win the Rookie of the Year, who's going to be the Pro Bowl, who's going to do this. Rico, how do you think Tank Dell's going to do? Let me tell you how Tank Dell's going to do. He's going to do the very best he can. I didn't give a shit what round he gets drafted in. When I see that man, I say that's the best player in this draft. That's the best wide receiver in the draft. Oh, Rico, you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I do. I've watched every wide receiver in the draft. We're just different, bro. We just have different goals. So I don't give a shit about Isaiah Pacheco. You know why? Because the Chiefs aren't good at drafting. Who did they draft in the first round the year before Isaiah Pacheco? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, CEH, first round draft pick running back, who's now not starting because Isaiah Pacheco's better than him. So if you're so good at drafting, why the hell did you take a running back the year before in the first round and you missed completely because you found a better guy in the 7th round the next year? You see how they're not good? They just got lucky. Don't try to get lucky. Be consistently good. That's all I can say about it. That's all I can say about it. Not trying to lecture you. What's good, Rico? Hope you got a great day spreading positivity. Thank you, Corey Flores. Love seeing you here every single day, brother. I love all my regulars, y'all. How many players from a region or state does a team need to have in order to be considered a pipeline? Robert Lopez. I'm going to go ahead and say 3 from a region or state, from a high school or anything of that nature. And I think for it to be a pipeline, it has to be over multiple recruiting classes. It just can't be one. You got these 3. Remember Arizona. Arizona got the 3-headed monster from Servite a couple years ago. Servite, number 4 ranked team in the country in high school. They actually they beat St. John Bosco that year, and they had T-Mac at wide receiver. I'm forgetting the other kid, tall black guy, a wide receiver, tight end / wide receiver, and then Noah, the quarterback, little dude. All 3 of them were best friends. They got all 3 from Servite. That's not a pipeline. You just got 3 kids who wanted to go play together. Show me a pipeline. Get repeated players from that same school over and over and over. Like Bama has a pipeline to Buford right now. So that's how that kind of works. Georgia Tech wide receiver depth chart. Zion Taylor got a chance. He does, but Georgia Tech got 3 wide receivers in the transfer portal that are all pretty damn good. I love what Georgia Tech's doing. Yo, Rico, I've played for Brady Hoke. What's your opinion of him? He's an acquired taste, bruh. He's an acquired taste. Some people like him, some people don't. That's my opinion on him. He's an acquired taste. Sure, you remembered, but my question regards the Big 12 payout for Utah in full, not paying BYU. Do you know what the terms are getting payouts-wise? Okay, so what Reagan's talking about is when Utah joined the Big 12, Utah's getting a payout that is not as big as some of these other teams joining immediately. And it's really weird because Utah is taking a graduated approach to joining the conference. So from my understanding, and I haven't found this anywhere in writing, but it's my understanding that the Big 12 is doing prorated / performance-based payments for their teams. They're not all getting an equal share, and that's because they came up with the idea based upon Texas and Oklahoma. So Texas and Oklahoma kept asking for more money. ACC's doing this as well. It all depends on how you perform on the field, how you perform in postseason. Did you get to a bowl game? Where did you finish in the league? And they're kind of prorating the money. Now, there's a minimum amount everybody's getting, but you get more and more and more. Well, I think BYU opted for a different payment plan. They didn't ask for that graduated scale. They just said, bring us in at this level, at this step, and they just went and gradually stepped it up. But Utah, part of the selling point for Utah to join was give us the full amount right now. Give us the $31 million. We don't want 25. We want 31. So now Utah's getting the full amount their first year. They also have another leg to stand on. They are a conference champion, a 2-time conference champion, joining a Power 5 conference. That's unheard of. Versus an independent school joining a Power 5. Right? That's just how that goes. But if you find anything else, let me know. UConn football record prediction. Colin Boyle. Just because you're a good man, let's pull it up, bro. I'll pull it up for you guys. If you guys don't know, Colin Boyle is a UConn homer to the fullest, and I'm not mad at him. He's here every day, and all he talks is UConn. Shout out to Colin Boyle. Let's pull up UConn's football schedule, and let's get a rundown for the plays. It's just sitting here stagnant. There we go. First game, NC State. I don't see UConn winning that game. I really don't. Just letting you know. Georgia State, it's possible they win that game, but it's at Georgia State. Georgia State has a really good quarterback in Granger. It's possible. They're going to beat the brakes off of FIU, so that's one win for sure. They're losing to Duke. They're going to beat Utah State and Rice. Give me 3 wins so far. 4 wins. Good luck on your rivalry. 5 and 6 wins. So I got UConn with 6 wins. 6 wins for UConn. If they can beat Boston College for the second year in a row, they beat them 13-3 last year. not only will Helfrey get fired, Boston College head coach, but UConn will be bowling. So shout out to you, UConn. That's where I'm at. Rico, are there any group of 5 sleeper teams that could make big footing, say Memphis, UTEP, or even Miami of Ohio? I like all 3 of those. Yeah, San Jose State looks good. Memphis looks good. UTEP does look good. Miami of Ohio, man, they got Gabbert's little brother back. He jumped in the portal, then he came back. It's a big deal. Temple, they're going to be terrible, but they got E.J. Warner. They got Kirk Warner's son slanging that rock, bruh. And don't sleep on Ball State. I think the potential for a sleeper team has to come from the Conference USA. Sam Houston all day. But it has to come from Conference USA. Sunbelt has too many good teams at the top. The MAC, obviously Ohio's great, and it's going to be hard to compete with them. And UTSA is going to run the table, or UTSA is going to be a problem in the American. So that's how I feel. Do you remember Leon Washington, running back, Florida State? Yeah. Former 5-star at FSU, yeah, and was a baller for the Jets. His son, Leon Washington Jr., just committed to FAU, another 0-star recruit who the websites overlook. I'll look into him. I like Leon Washington. I remember him well. You guys got to remember this. If there's a Power 5 player that made it to the NFL, don't ask me if I remember him. Just keep going. Just tell me. All you had to write was Leon Washington Jr. just committed to FAU. I would have been like, oh my God, is that his son? That kind of deal. Lil Kirko Chains needs the game off so he doesn't bruise them ribs in the preseason. Fair enough. Texas A&I, now Texas A&M Kingsville. There it is. Go Javelinos. Thoughts on Iowa football? Not much, Mac-10. I hope they play well. I hope they do well, and I hope the players aren't betting on the games and taking the under. I'm tired of seeing Ole Miss post Saunders on IG every day after what you told me. So maybe he plays. And maybe he's good. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's injury-free and he won back over the coaching staff. I'll make an I am wrong video on that if it happens. Where do you think Boise State will end up, and should Vandy leave the SEC? So Boise State will end up right where they're at. They're not leaving anywhere. And should Vandy leave the SEC? I don't think so. It's their meal ticket. Now, one day the SEC is going to cut off some of the dead weight and the fat, and Vandy gets cut at that point. Just saying. I think Vandy, Stanford, Northwestern, I think all the academic schools should make their own conference. That's what I think. They'd be really competitive. It'd be the FBS Ivy League. Give me the Ivy League of the FBS. Call it something else. Call it the Gold League. I don't care. But I think all the academic institutions should be in the same conference and play against each other. Make it a little more competitive, because I'm tired of seeing them just be over there. The thing is, Vandy has a good team, a decent team, because they get the same revenue from the SEC. So they just got a shit ton of money, and they're able to pump it into their sports programs, and they're able to be viable and get good recruits, but they're not a real competitive team by any means. And they wouldn't excel in any other conference. I need everybody to understand this. If Vandy were to move conferences, Vandy could be this good, they could beat this team, no. You leave the conference, you no longer have SEC money. Where do you go? You're not going to have the same money, same revenue, same exposure. You're not going to have the same appetite from recruits. You're not in the SEC anymore. That's why any team leaving the SEC does not win anywhere else. Stop that whole scenario. It's not real. If they leave the SEC, they don't have the same money, recruiting budget, appeal, the same ESPN backing. Everything just goes out the window immediately. You don't leave. Don't leave your girl. Who's the most disappointing transfer quarterback? Who will have the worst season that we were made to think would go off? So I think Sam Hartman's not going to have a great season statistically. He doesn't have any wide receivers at Notre Dame. He doesn't have A.T. Perry. Give me Sam Hartman not being great at Notre Dame. But the most disappointing transfer quarterback is going to be the guys who don't start. Then there were transfer quarterbacks who aren't going to start. So Ben Finley leaving NC State, going to Cal, not going to start. 2 quarterbacks at Arizona State are not going to start, and they transferred in. There's one at Sam Houston. Colin Schlee at UCLA, he might not start, and he might play terrible. DJ Ungalele may lose his job and not start at Oregon State. You heard it here first. There's just so many transfer quarterbacks that aren't going to pan out, and people don't realize it. Rico knows. I'll make a whole damn video about it if I wanted to. Just letting you guys know, there's going to be transfer quarterbacks who don't pan out. Can't wait. Still got my money on Cliff to A&M. Hey, I made that call long ago. Just got to beat, just to get beat by Bama every year. What up, Top? Hope all is well. Thank you, Jason. What's up, man? All is well. Rico, I played for Brady Hoke. What's your opinion on? Never repeat your question. I will always get to it. Never repeat it. Speaking of Wyoming, the next time to hire Bowl, won't regret it. Okay. If Northwestern wasn't such a shit show, Bowl would get them to 7 wins. Okay. Does Chico Holt transfer work because he's an incoming freshman? I know Stanford has a weird academic calendar that makes transferring in out strange. So no, Robert Lopez, they don't even have a weird academic calendar. What they have is the inability to approve undergraduate transfers. The fact that he hasn't enrolled yet and actually taken classes, he's good to go. But everybody else, they're not taking them. They said they want to be one of the most prestigious programs on the entire planet. They don't care about sports. So they're not making exceptions for transfers. That's why the vast majority of Stanford's transfers were from Ivy League schools. Straight up. They were just from the Ivy League. Princeton, Harvard. They didn't give a shit. And then they got the one kid, Gavin Bernadal, linebacker from FIU. He was the first one ever. In the history of the school, he was the first undergraduate football transfer. They had a graduate transfer 2 years ago, but they're just not doing it. Stanford's not. Now, Troy Taylor's trying to talk them out of it and being like, hey, we need to get some transfers. Come on, help me. Because, I'm a new head coach. I'm coming up from the FCS, and look at what USC did with all their transfers. So instead, Stanford said, hey, we'll give you some more money in your NIL and collectives and your recruiting budget, but we still can't give you a lot of transfers. But he's getting good players. That's why the recruiting class for Stanford looks really good. Got a 4-star quarterback in Elijah Brown from Modern Day. He's been starting there since his freshman year, ever since Bryce Young left, and that's a huge get for Stanford. It's their quarterback of the future, so there you go. Rough guess on what number of top athletes are on PEDs across professional sports. Know that is a crazy question, but wanted a baseline from your perspective. Give me 80%. 80% on PEDs? Yeah, give me 80%. 80. Walker didn't attend ETSU. He tore his ACL in high school. Then NC Central gave him a chance where the season was canceled. AJ, no, he went to ETSU. He went to ETSU and he gray-shirted. Sorry. This is technically his second team, so he should get his waiver in my opinion. No, AJ, you're wrong. He went to ETSU for a year, and he gray-shirted. So gray-shirting, you just don't lose a year of eligibility. You don't go to practice. You're not only, but he went to the school, and he transferred to North Carolina Central. Cliff Kingsbury, why do you feel that way? Was very – sorry, it just moved on me. Chat just moved on me. Not good. Would be very on brand, but very little success in both college and the NFL. So Reagan, he did not have very little success in college. He was the quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator when they won the Heisman, right? He was Johnny Manziel's quarterback coach. Cliff Kingsbury was. What he did at Texas Tech, win-loss-wise, that's not a problem. It's can you recruit the state of Texas, and he can. Is he Texas royalty? He is. That's the guy you want. That's the face you want in front of a program. Cliff Kingsbury is very likable as a head coach at one of the major universities in Texas. That's why he's good for Texas A&M. What top 50 transfer from your videos can you see jumping back in the transfer portal again next offseason? Fucking great question. Who in my top 50 is going to jump back in the portal? Let me pull it up, y'all. I don't know if you guys can see this. I haven't made videos on the other guys yet. Who would jump back in the portal? Well, Devontae Walker would. He's not going to play for North Carolina, and Drake May's going to be gone. Devontae Walker would jump in the portal, but he got to graduate school. And all these guys will be gone and graduated. Gone and graduated. What a great question. Marquise Gums has a shot. I'm just looking. My goodness. There's Jamal Edram, by the way. You see him here? Honorable mention. I had him, and he tore his ACL. Sucks, man. It's my guy. Bat T could probably do it if it doesn't work out at Auburn. I probably have to go on the defensive side of the ball, man. I probably have to go defense, and I don't want to just sit here in silence while I read this list. I know people are listening and like to hear me talk. What a great question. Good pondering thought. Well, I guess we'll find out. It's pretty damn crazy that you asked that question. Who's going to jump back in the portal from my top 50? I'm hoping they all have great seasons and don't jump back in. In the 12-team playoff, Rose Bowl rotates between semis and natties or semis and quarters. It's all kinds of stuff, Joey. It's all kinds of stuff. What up, everyone? Has a history at A&M as offensive coordinator, and they love him. Exactly. Kirby Smart pulling out the old Doak Walker scholarships that Ron Meyer used to give out at SMU. Exactly. Shout out to you, Steve. You're great. When watching games or film, can you quickly identify schemes or coverages as if you were a player on the field? Yes, even better. Better than if I was on the field because I have a different perspective. I'm up here up top. Now, I'm not really assessing coverages for all that much or schemes. I'm usually looking at individual players. When I'm trying to assess schemes and coverages, that would mean I am scouting the other team, right? Let's say I was a defensive coach and I had to go scout a team. That's a little different. If I was breaking down tape for a scouting report or for what we're doing in our game plan, way different from when I'm just evaluating an individual player. The only time you look at schemes and coverages, and it's just I hate it, but it's the in thing to do, which is like when you're evaluating a quarterback, all you guys sit down and go, okay, here's what he saw on the film. Look at this. He's assessing the defense. He's already read. It's a cover 4 because it's quads and the corners are even with the safeties and blah, blah, blah. Shut up, okay? Watch the play and stop trying to guess what he read and watch all the plays. And then you watch when he makes the wrong read. Stop trying to justify his read. Watch the play, and when he makes the wrong read, just put a little tally mark. And keep track of how many times he makes the wrong throw or wrong read. You don't have to try to guess what he was thinking. You just know what the right read is from your perspective because you can see the all 22. I just don't like these little Poindexter kids who sit there and try to, and let me show you what's happening here. So he's going to do this hook to curl. Then he's going to do this. Then he's going to do this. Then he's going to do it. Shut up. You don't know what he's going to do in that regard because you don't know his offensive scheme and what their progression reads are, right? There's a 1, 2, 3 option on every single play. You don't know what it is. You're guessing. So just watch the play and know when he made the wrong read. You look and go, wait, he didn't make the right read. He panicked through, and it was 3rd and 7. Why didn't he take the 9-yard completion? And he went deep and made it an incomplete pass. That's when you can make the right assessments on decision-making. And that's all you're really doing is evaluating decision-making. But I don't even want to get into that. I don't try to read the defense and try to do all this analysis of it because I'm looking at an individual player. I'm cool with it. Let me just see what he does. How does he react? How does he play? And it's not a science. It's repetition, and I'm just very comfortable with it. So I've been doing it for a very long time. Longer than half these people have been alive. You're right. It just seems like another Sumlin-type hire. Nah. With those resources, I feel like they should steal a real big name. But that's not – that's not it. It's not it. You want a great recruiter. Is TJ Finley going to start at Texas State? You know, Andy, they don't bring you in the spring as a quarterback to not start. If they're bringing you in the spring after spring ball, that means they saw what you were, Hornsby, and they said, you're not it. We need to bring in a different quarterback to start for us for the season, and they go out and get Finley. Remember that. If they signed a quarterback in the winter, they let you go through spring ball, and then they sign another dude, they probably don't want you anymore. That's all I'm saying. The Chiefs haven't been able to draft since they got rid of Dorsey. Facts. I like Dorsey, by the way. Scouting is about finding 50s and 55s consistently. You might miss some 70s and 80s, but it's all about consistency. Found you. Yep, you're good. Bro, skip my question. Never saw your question, Sean. I don't skip questions. I read every single one. If your question isn't up here, it got filtered out by the chat. Rephrase. No one skips questions. He answered it the first time. Was the second question he answered. Thank you very much. Rewind it and go watch it. dropping in to say hi and leave a like. Keep up the hard work, Rico. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Swamp. Thank you for being here. Byron Leftwich was on campus today. Shout out to Byron Leftwich. Buyers sell him being the next offensive coordinator after Sean Lewis leaves. Wow. I don't know about any of that. I can just tell you that Byron Leftwich is a great offensive mind. And shout out to the Music City Bowl where he made a comeback after being down by like 30 to East Carolina and his teammates carrying him. I remember watching this game. So shout out to Byron Leftwich. Great quarterback. Yes, sir, Rico. I think UConn's ceiling is 8-4. Okay, I got him 6-6. Rico, how do you feel about South Alabama? I think South Alabama wins 10 or more games. I love South Alabama's team. I love their quarterback. Love their running backs. I love their wide receivers. Love their secondary. I love South Alabama, bruh. I've watched so much film on South Alabama. It's crazy, and I really believe in them. The only problem, Sun Belt's stacked. But I love South Alabama. Can the Sun Belt be the new Power 5? No. They got to have bowl agreements. So if you were going to be a new Power 5, what that would mean is there is an agreement for you, the Sun Belt, and your champ to be in certain bowl games, and there's no such agreement right now. It doesn't exist. You can't be a Power 5 unless the bowl games have an agreement with you. UAB is a sleeper this year. Yeah, you could sleep full, go to bed and get a good night's rest. I love UAB. I don't think they're a sleeper this year. I just don't. They moved to the American. Competition is stiff. Trent Dilfer's first year coaching at this level. It'll be some growing pains. Love their running back. Steve, same here, bro. Word. Will Colorado and UCF be in a recruiting battle in 2024? Yeah, I mean, everybody is. Can Iowa State potentially be upset by Ohio now that Decker's out of play? It didn't matter if Deckers was there. Ohio's a very good team. Ohio's a top 25 team. Rico, what's your prediction for the outcome of FSU for what conference they'll end up in? The ACC. They will end up in the ACC. Looks like Arizona State and Arizona are set to collect $42 to $50 million as well. Report immediately upon joining. That's from ASU article. So biased, but interesting to read into. Yeah, there you go, Reagan. All the teams who joined from the Pac-12, they carry with them a lot more notoriety than BYU as far as getting paid immediately. Big dog, go blue. I was pleased you put Michigan at number 2. I did not put Michigan at number 2, Jason Leip. Michigan is my number 1 team in the preseason poll. Be very clear. Michigan is my number 1 team in my preseason poll. I think they have the most talent returning. I think they're poised to have a great season. Michigan is my number 1. Number 2 was USC. Number 3 was Ohio State. Number 4 was LSU. Number 5 was Georgia. 6 was Bama. That was my top 6. Northwestern would need to join. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, the academic program. Personally, I would move Vandy to the ACC if the ACC live that year in case Cal Stanford go to ACC. Yeah. I've got to look into the prorated payouts for these other teams, but the Big 12 is so oddly interesting right now. Yeah. Do a lot of research on it, Reagan. I have. Thoughts on Bijan and his role this year? They run the ball a lot with Atlanta. They don't have a good quarterback, so they run a lot. That's his role, run the ball. How do you fix UMass football? You got to join a conference. Join a conference, get conference affiliation, then you get money, then you pump that money into your football program. You can't win unless you dedicate a certain amount of resources to football, and they don't do that. They dedicate a minimal amount of resources, and that's why football programs struggle. What does Rico know about DJ not making it as a starter at OSU after leaving Clemson? William Piper, I think that's a very real possibility. I think DJ Uiagalelei is struggling with their system, with their coaching, and I think they will put themselves in a position, Jonathan Smith, to win games, and I believe Oregon State will not be starting DJ Uiagalelei either for the entire season or at some point during the season if he struggles, and I think he's struggling right now. So take it for what it's worth. If Big 12 go out and get more school, who would be a perfect fit for the Big 12 outside of UConn? Obviously Gonzaga. They're a basketball conference at that point. If they're getting UConn, they're going after basketball teams. Go get Gonzaga. Basketball only. Do you think Purdue is a contender in the Big Ten Championship this year? No. Purdue's going to struggle. Unfortunately, you got a new head coach. You lost a lot of talent. Your defensive line transferred out. Brick's a good defensive line coach, but he lost all of his starters. You lost your best offensive lineman to UCLA. Yeah, Purdue's in trouble. And they overachieved last year just getting to the conference championship game. They will not do it this year. They don't have Jeff Brom. What's your take on Zach Martin contract situation? He wants more money, and he's going to just sit out until he gets it. No way with Wisconsin, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio, Iowa State, Minnesota. All are better in my opinion. And then Purdue, yeah. They're behind all of them. Do you think Caleb will win back-to-back Heismans? Cliff will be a great help. You see it. You'll see this here. I don't think Cliff's a great help. I think that Caleb's going to be up against it. Nobody wants to give back-to-back Heismans ever since what's-his-face got him from Ohio State. And, man, why can't I remember his name? Running back, Archie. So once Archie Griffin got him, nobody else wants to do it anymore. It's going to be hard to get a back-to-back Heisman. They would have to be undefeated and win the national title for him to get the Heisman. I'm serious. USC is going to have to go undefeated, and he's got to be the reason why, or he's not getting it. What team is making college football playoffs this year? Whatever teams get invited to the playoffs, you got to win your conference first. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to sit here and guess because you can win your conference and be ignored. Shout out to Clemson. First time catching your live, Orlando Johnson. Do you think Colorado will make a bowl game? Also, who's your surprise college team for this upcoming season that will make some noise? So Orlando Johnson, do I think Colorado makes a bowl game? I think it's possible. I don't think it's very likely, but it's possible. If they do make a bowl game, then you're saying they're going to win that bowl game and they finish the season 7-6. Or 6-7 if they lose. But I think 5-7 is realistic if we're being real. Now, some people are saying 3, 4. I'm going on the high end here and going 5-6, possibly 7. But I think the other programs are very, very healthy. And when you look at their schedule, it just doesn't look like a cakewalk anywhere. So it's going to be difficult. Now, who's my surprise college team for this upcoming season that will make some noise? I'm going to say Colorado. People don't understand what it means to be competitive in your losses. This is exactly what Tulane did before they blew up. They were competitive in their losses, like really good. Okay? Before last year, Tulane won 4 games the previous year. They were so close in 6 of those games. Right? I really believe that Colorado's going to make some noise. And it's just going to be fun to watch every single week. Now, their offense is incredible. Now, another team out there that nobody's talking about is South Alabama and Wisconsin. If Wisconsin goes 11-1 or 12-0, if Wisconsin goes 11-1, Braylon Allen will be a finalist in New York. Braylon Allen will be the reason why. The running back will be the reason why. Braylon Allen, back-to-back 1,200-yard rusher, graduated high school early. He started college at 17 years old, and he's been running against grown men. He's entering his 3rd year in college. He's 19 years old. Some of these high school seniors just graduating, they're 19 already. We got 19-year-olds in high school. Braylon Allen's in his 3rd year after back-to-back seasons of dominating the Big Ten. On a 7-win team, he went for 1,200 yards. On a 7-win team, he went for 1,200 yards. Braylon Allen's a problem. Give me Wisconsin for making noise next year. Real noise. Talking national noise. I believe in them. After realignment dust settles, where will we end up the NFL? Will we end up with NFL like American and National Leagues? Winner meets in the Super Bowl. Looks like we're heading that direction. Thoughts? Yeah, J-Lo, I'm all about it, man. Relegation, winner versus loser. I'm for all of it. I heard a guy talk about today. They said there's going to be trades coming soon. There's going to be, free agency, trades in college football. I think the conferences get smaller moving forward. I think they trim all the fat, and we end up with just like the Premier League, just all the best teams in one conference playing each other. I think in 20 years, it's just one conference of all the best teams in the country, just like I thought it would be. Maybe 20 of the best, and then there'll be another conference with the next 20, and it'll just be that relegation pro model. That's how it's going. I'm not surprised. You called it on Sterling Thomas V. He's tearing up camp for my Lions. What do you know about wide receiver Dylan Drummond? He's making noise. Jay Green, I'm never surprised when I hit it, man. I'm never surprised when I get it right, because I get it right all the damn time. So for me to call it and tell you guys, I believe Sterling Thomas V should be drafted. I believe he's going to be one of the best corners in undrafted free agency. And then for him to go to the Lions and start doing what he's doing, I'm not surprised. I evaluate talent. I evaluate players. This is what I do for a living, right? I get paid to do this. I'm not just some dude hanging out talking sports. Everybody thinks that's what this is about. Like they want to debate me and talk sports with me, but you guys don't get it. My mind, I'm different, bruh. I'm sitting here analyzing players, and I'm telling the NFL, these are the players you should care about and value. These are the players that are going to make your team better, because I've watched every single player from high school through college. I've watched every game. I've watched every player, and I'm assessing them accurately. And people want to deny me. People hate me for it. There are fans out there going, oh, well, he's not in this mock draft. You don't know what you're talking about. I just saw this. They said this. Ha, you don't know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I told you guys this particular quarterback is going to go and get drafted. And they're like, oh, he's maybe a 7th rounder. I'll never forget it. Aiden O'Connell, quarterback, Purdue. He's maybe a 7th rounder. He's a backup. That's what that punk-ass kid Theo Ash said. He's lucky to be a 7th rounder. Yeah, you win in the 4th round, bro. You're only off by about 100 and something positions. These people don't know what they're doing. They're just kids. And then the rich people, let's not talk about it, not rich. The adults, the people who do this for a living, they ain't nothing special. You know, there's a guy who says to me, Rico, why should we listen to you? There's people who get paid millions of dollars to do this. And I'm like, yeah, they all get fired. They all get fired. They're paying the wrong people. These guys get fired. They're not special. They don't know what they're doing. They look at it and they don't even do the work. They just listen to Mel Kiper and Cowherd and anybody else talking on TV. And if they do the work, they're bad at it and they're picking the wrong people. Whoever passed on Sterling Thomas V, I want you to go look at every corner drafted in the 7th round. Look at every corner drafted in the 7th round. None of them will be better than Sterling Thomas V. Go look at every running back drafted in the 7th round. None will be better than Keaton Mitchell. I watched all the tape. It's just the way it goes. So I'm not surprised. I don't know much about Dylan Drummond. I didn't see him coming. So shout out to him for doing great in practice. I don't think undrafted free agent wide receivers make it in the NFL. I've told you guys this multiple times. Undrafted free agent running backs make it, but not undrafted free agent wide receivers. They don't make it. There are 33, on average, 33 to 35 wide receivers drafted every single year. They already get all the good ones. They already draft all the ones they know are going to make it. And every single team is running 5, 6, 7 deep. I had a bunch of people attacking me, talking about Isaiah Winstead. Isaiah Winstead, after the draft, if you guys don't remember, he's the wide receiver from East Carolina. He's a 1,000-yard receiver this year. I'm an advocate for Group of 5 schools. I talk about Group of 5 players all the time. Sterling Thomas V, UAB. I talk about Group of 5 players every single day of my life. I am an advocate for Group of 5 players. You know what wide receiver I did not talk about? Isaiah Winstead. He posted a video on Twitter of him doing all these routes. He was like, ain't nobody want this. I'm 6'2", 220, running 4.54. Nobody looking for all this. And he posted, and everybody started spamming me. And I made a video, and I said, guys, he's not going to make it in the NFL. He's not very good. I've watched all his tape. He doesn't look like an NFL wide receiver to me, and I've seen every single one of them for the last 30 years. What are we doing? And, Rico, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, look, Rico, he just got signed by the 49ers. I'm like, okay, so he's going to camp. Well, let me know when he gets cut, because cuts are coming, and he's not going to make the team. And I'm going to make an I Am Right video and tell you guys he didn't make the team, because undrafted free agent wide receivers don't make it in the NFL. Very, very rare. Undrafted free agent running backs make it all the time. Every year, undrafted free agent running backs, give me 6 of them. Wide receivers? There are 6 wide receivers at San Francisco right now. 6 fighting for one roster spot. And Winstead's in that group. And he ain't making it, bro. And I'm going to make an I Am Right video, and everybody's going to get mad at me. Why are you kicking him while he's down? Rico, why are you doing this? No, bro. I'm just reporting the facts. I told you guys he wouldn't make it, and he's not going to make it, and I'm right again. And I'm always right. That's why I have an I Am Right playlist. Oh, I can't stand this guy. He's so fucking arrogant. Can't stand this guy. I'd rather just talk sports and be wrong all day and never get corrected. Can't stand this guy. All right, bro. Does whatever Caleb Williams do not count for Cliff Kingsbury because of the Heisman last year, or is the USC job that he's taking for the second time in 5 years just to stay in the game? So he's taking the job, Robert Lopez, because he can't be a head coach anywhere. He's still getting paid by the Cardinals. If he gets hired anywhere, he doesn't get paid by the Cardinals. So he's taking a voluntary quarterback position coach type job. He's just an advisor. He can't be on the books, that type of deal. He's doing it just to stay busy, be around a program, get his name, and you know, you're going to see a guy succeed, and you want to get credit for that. When I talk about 50s and 55s, that's from a 20 to 80 scale. Not sure if you guys use the same scale in football, but the point about the importance of consistency. Shout out to you, Reagan. Thank you very much. Greatest quote from you, bro, in today's stream. Stop the lives on TT, bro, on TikTok, bro. Nobody cares what you're cooking for breakfast. My response, I do. Shit looks good. Hey, Parkinson, I don't worry about the trolls on TikTok, bro. Every kid who comes in and trolls me, they watch my videos. They pay my bills. You know, hater views pay just as much as follower views. As a matter of fact, I get unique views. If it's a new person, unique views pay. Not the same view over and over and over. I get credit for your view once. You can watch it over and over and over. So regulars are in the chat arguing in the comments all the time. Regulars are there all day watching all my videos over and over and over. That's cool. I only get credit for one view from you. It's the unique views I get credit for. Bring all the haters on, bro. They're paying my bills, bro. They pay for this RC Cola I keep sipping here. That's right. I'm old school. I'm RC Cola all day. RC Cola. Megan Rapinoe just kicked another penalty kick. Hey, well, someone needs to take her out to the pasture. Hey, Rico, where are the bimbos? I need to learn how to riz like you. Derek Rose, first thing you need to do is never call a woman a bimbo again. And the next thing you need to do is go out there in real life and go strike out, bro. Go strike out. I talk to women on live all the time in front of the camera. Everybody can see it. And I don't miss, bro. You don't miss. You just got to, hey, shoot or shoot. You don't know what I'm talking about. It is what it is. You read questions, even if they don't make sense at the time, you're the best, man. Shout out to you, Reagan. I try my best. Is Texas a legit playoff contender this year? If they win their conference, they are, especially if they beat Bama. If Colorado wins 6 to 8 games or makes a New Year's Bowl game, where will Prime and Colorado stand in history? Big LT, first and foremost, a New Year's Bowl game would mean they win the Pac-12. Where would they stand in history if something like that were to happen? It'd be folklore shit. Let's make a movie about it. It's not going to happen. Would you say the Sun Belts is the Group of 5 conference in the country, the best Group of 5 conference in the country? The best Group of 5 conference in the country has always been the American. That's home of UCF and Cincinnati. Those are teams that have gone undefeated and been on top of the world. They just had Tulane beat USC in a bowl game. There's no arguing this. The American has always been the best Group of 5 conference for the last 10 years. Now, before that, it was the Mountain West. And what I want to remind everybody is it changes. It all depends. It changes year to year. So you can't just say at one point in time. And all the Group of 5 conferences just realigned this offseason. They realigned. So it changes all the time. This upcoming year, the best thing about the Sun Belt is all their running backs. The Sun Belt has, every single team has an amazing running back. I'm not even joking. So it's pretty incredible stuff. How good will Bronny James be at quarterback this year? I don't even know that Bronny James plays quarterback. Who do you think is Oklahoma's top wide receiver, and do you see them making the biggest and who do you see making the biggest impact? I owe you an answer. I think you asked me this question before, and I owe you an answer. I didn't go study it. All the 4 corner schools to the Big 12 were unanimously voted to receive full payout. There you go. Derek Rose, what? Exactly. Can DJ Ukulele take snaps under center? I don't know. I may be wrong in the A&M coaching situation. I love Kingsbury as a coordinator, but I don't know. I'm hesitant with him as a head coach. Could just be a bad feeling. Yeah, what would be A&M's other options? Other options are going to be Elko, current head coach at Duke, who's knocking it out the park. Jeff Traylor at UTSA. Great option. Joey McGuire at Texas Tech. Another great option. And that's where I'm at right now. Those all sound like ideal. And obviously, if they do really well on offense this year, you can go get your retread from your motorcycle riding buddy. College football. Do you believe conference members should all earn the same amount, or should revenue be shared and function in the same success and pride? Any of you guys ever worked somewhere before? When you work at a business, if you all make the same amount of money, it sounds ideal until one person starts doing more of the work. Once someone else does more of the work, what the hell are we doing? Now we got to get different wages for everybody. So it makes sense to compensate everybody based upon their revenue stream. right? And how much they bring to the conference. Now, when you look at March Madness, the smaller conferences get auto bids into March Madness. And if you get an auto bid into March Madness, let's say you're Vermont. The Catamounts are always in March Madness. They very rarely win the first game, right? So the way it works is if you're in March Madness, you get paid units based upon how far you go in the tournament. They get that first unit, and they get that payout, and then they spread that evenly across the conference to help every single sports department stay relevant and positive. And this is a deal with CBS, TBS, True TV, and TNT. So they have agreed to pay every single conference an equal payout of units, and this is why conferences care about how many teams get into the tournament. Because all you need is bids, that will increase the revenue. And they spread it out. Now, some conferences will pay the teams more, like a bonus, if they go further in the tournament. Kansas going to the Final Four is going to get more than Iowa State, who didn't even play in it, right? But certain conferences give it out evenly, the smaller ones, and then the bigger conferences say, hey, we're going to pay it out to everybody, whoever earned it. Now, the ACC for years has been an evenly dispersing conference and said we just all need to succeed, we're evenly dispersing. But what Florida State is saying, and what has been crying about for a while now, is, hey, we were perennial powers. We are one of the premier programs in the country, but we cannot close the gap on the SEC's perennial powers because you keep making us split our revenue. I make $70 million for this conference, and you only give me 21 at the end of the year because we got to split my revenue with Virginia Tech, Boston College. I want more of the share. I want it prorated to me so I can stay relative and comparable to the other top 10 programs. You expect me to compete with them, but you then hinder me at the table. Texas and Oklahoma had the same conversation with the Big 12. Now, the Big 12 did relent and tried to do this incentive-based pay. Oklahoma and Texas said no. You guys ever been married to somebody before? Let me be real with you guys. Has anybody in here ever been married to someone and you're not happy in your marriage? Let me tell you guys. I was married to a woman for 10 years. Puerto Rican, Dominican woman. We had 4 kids together. Most beautiful woman out there, bruh. Gorgeous. Fine as hell. And I can remember coming home and giving her a to-do list of things she needed to do better. Things I didn't like about her. I'm not even joking. I was immature, I was young, and I didn't want to be with her. And I gave her this list of things she needed to do to get better, to be more appealing to me. The reality is I wanted out of the marriage. And after 10 years, we got divorced, okay. But for 7 of those years, I just kept giving her a list of things she needed to do better. Leave me alone. Don't bug me. Let me go out on Fridays. Do this, do that. Like, I just came up with a whole list of shit. And I can remember she got the list done, bro. Like I would say, hey, go do this. And she would do it. And she started doing all the right things that I asked. And you know what I did? I just made a new list of shit. I made a new list of things she needed to do because I didn't want to be with her. You're going to do that all the time when you're with somebody you don't want to be with. You're just going to come up with reasons not to be together. You're going to come up with reasons you're upset or you're mad. It could be something as simple as, well, you don't make me dinner. And then she makes you dinner. And then you're like, well, you don't make me lunch and dinner. Oh, well, you don't clean this and you don't do that. And you just keep going and just keep bitching about everything. And the reality is you don't want to be there. So why am I talking about this? Because Texas and Oklahoma didn't want to be in the Big 12. They didn't want to be there. So when they went to the conference, they went to the table and they said, hey, we don't want to be here unless you give us more money. Unless you give us this, unless you give us that. And you know what they did? They tried to appease them. The conference tried to acquiesce. If you guys don't know what that means give in. They tried to do what they requested. And then when they realized, oh shit, the conference is going to pay us prorated amounts the way we've been asking, they said, no, never mind. I don't want that. I know we asked for that, but you know what? We're leaving next year. We'll pay you $100 million to leave. That's the divorce. That's you cutting it off and saying, yo, I'm bouncing, bro. I don't care about your feelings. I'm out. That's some real shit right there. So when you start seeing teams asking for the prorated amount of payouts or they're going to leave, that ultimatum, they just don't even want to be there. They want a divorce. So Florida State, what was it, in May? I did a story on it. I did a video on this in May. Florida State came out and said, hey, we want prorated amounts. And the ACC said, yes, we will pay you prorated amounts. You will now get your portion of the revenue versus everybody else. Florida State and Clemson. And guess what? And here they are last week. Now that they see all the realignment going on, now they're putting the stories out there. They're feeding the media, and they're feeding that, and they're stoking that flame again. But I told you guys, they're not going anywhere. Grant of rights has already been signed. They already agreed to this. You can't get a divorce. There's no prenup. You ain't going nowhere. So you can talk all that mess you want about who you're going to date soon and where you're going to be and where you're going to live. You can do all that shit. You're not going nowhere. And then one guy wrote to me and goes, watch, by the 15th, this will be true. Bro, I saved your comment because I'm making a video on the 15th because you're wrong. They're not going anywhere. You can't. But they keep making these demands because they don't want to be in this relationship anymore. They're going to keep making more demands. And remember, never negotiate with terrorists. Never negotiate with terrorists. And that includes baby mamas asking for more money from child support. And that'll include employers and employees. And in this case, Florida State's threatening to go work somewhere else. Well, you can't, bro. Well, we will. Okay, we want more money. So, no, I don't agree with paying everybody an equal amount unless you're all hell-bent on succeeding together, getting to the finish line together. Then we can all get paid the same amount. But at some point, somebody starts looking around going, dude, I'm dragging everybody. I'm the reason this conference is it. Like the West Coast Basketball Conference. What is that? The West Coast? Gonzaga and St. Mary play in it. They go to the tournament every year. Gonzaga, St. Mary sometimes gets an at-large bid. They never beat Gonzaga. You don't think Gonzaga wants a bigger share of the revenue they're generating for that conference? They do. But it's getting evenly split up right now. And that's just what happens. Sorry for the long tangent. I'm curious how much would FSU and Clemson make in the Big Ten compared to the ACC if FSU and Clemson join the Big Ten? Oh, well, it's all proportionate how teams increase revenue. At Florida State's one of the top schools in the world, in the entire country, so they bring a ton. Clemson actually doesn't. Clemson's just a quality program. They're a good football program, but they don't bring a ton of revenue in comparison to some of the bigger schools, Texas, USC, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State. There's levels to this, and Clemson's not quite there. A lot of it has to do with the fact that Clemson is not very profitable in other sports outside of football, whereas some of these other schools are great at everything, right? They have great, and like people are buying merchandise for these other schools all over the country. Clemson's very regional. J-Lo, yes, when you start favoring one team against others, that's the end of the conference, as the other will take the opportunity to go elsewhere. Exactly. You cannot give in to the hostage. You can't give in to the terrorist, and the terrorist is the team. Feel good about my top 50 transfer question. When you make Rico think, like you did work. Hey, thank you, Matt. You did make me think, and that's very rare, right? Talk about NCCU quarterback, North Carolina. Who's that? NCCU, North Carolina, Charlotte. North Carolina, Charlotte. Are we talking about Charlotte? He's nice. Get all get fired. FSU has been making so much noise for nothing. They haven't won anything in the ACC since Jameis Winston. This is very true. How long until Richard Sherman tries to fight Skip? So Richard Sherman got hired for the Skip Bayless show, whatever it's called, Undisputed, and they're going to be arguing every day. I don't like debate shows. Guys, I want to tell you guys something. I'm gonna pull the curtain back a bit. What is it called? There's a channel out there. It's called Player's Choice. It's cool. Player's Choice has 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Player's Choice has, I want to say, 700,000 followers, 300,000 on TikTok. And they approached me about joining their channel for a football podcast. And they have a guy named Fluent and Chill. I like Fluent. He reminds me a lot of myself. He's a cool dude. And then Chill used to play in the NBA. But these guys interview famous athletes, famous people. And they wrote me and said, hey, Rico, we'd like you to be on our show. And I got to tell you guys, I have zero desire to join that show. And I let them know. I wrote them and said, bro, I would be interested, but you sent me a copy and paste message. And your format is just a bunch of dudes arguing with these little squares everywhere. And I refuse to be just one little square. Let me tell you what I know. I'm very self-aware. I am a conversation hijacker. If I'm having a conversation with two people, that guy's not getting anything in because he brings nothing to the conversation. This is why I do a podcast and I don't have a co-host. Because I don't need a co-host to fill in the dead air. Whenever you see podcasts, it's always a duo. It's because they want to have a two-way conversation to fill the dead air. But the originators of this shit are Jim Rome, Colin Cowherd, individual people who could sit down and hold the audience for the entirety of the show. And I believe that I have that capability, and I'm not going to be one of those squares on the screen. So I don't even care that they were offering me more exposure, growth on my channel. Bro, I'm good. I make a living doing this. I'm straight. There's so many people watching my videos, they don't even know I do a live stream. They don't even know I do a show every day. But one day we're going to be sitting in here, and the people watching total right now is a little over 100. 120, 130. I don't care. I don't care. We're going to be in the thousands one day because I'm real, and I believe in myself, and I won't sell out for an argument. The format of arguing on TV doesn't appeal to me in the slightest. So when I see Richard Sherman going to join a show with Skip Bayless, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Remember, the last time Richard Sherman talked to Skip Bayless, he told him, I'm better at life than you are. I'm better at life than you are. He made fun of Skip Bayless because he said he's better at life than you are. This was before Richard Sherman was on camera beating down the doors of his in-laws, showing his ass to be the decay of society. I'm not cool with it. I would never want to be on a show and argue with anybody. I don't want to debate anyone. I'm here to educate, give my take, and share knowledge. I don't want to debate anyone. I don't even think it's cute. So many people want to join my live and debate me. Bro, get out of here. You bring nothing to the table. You know who wins in a debate? I already told you guys. Let me rephrase that. You know who loses in a debate? The first person to learn something. If you learn something in a debate, you lost. So if we're having a conversation about any topic and I learned something, I lost. Well, guess what? I do a shit ton of research and I never forget anything I read. I'm not losing. I don't enjoy it. I find it just argumentative nonsense. So I've never watched those argue shows. I've never watched a single episode of Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. I never watched a single one. Never watched an episode of Stephen A. Smith arguing with himself. I never watched any of that shit. None of that appeals to me, guys. You have to tell me about it for me to even know about it. I'm not even excited, not even a little bit. Mel Kiper is and always has been a bad joke. Yep. What did you think of Victor Cruz coming out of UMass? Not much. Not much. Is Texas a legit playoff contender? Don't ask the same question twice. I will always get to your question. Please be patient. Yeah, sure they are. Anybody that's a scout under 50 years old claims to be right will get fired repeatedly. We get fired because we get it wrong, and that's reality. Shout out to you, Reagan. Thank you. We might be allowed to stick around if we're willing to learn. You know, I have scouts that send me DMs every day. They work for third-party agencies. They work for other companies. They send me their scoring metric. They tell me how they evaluate players. Let me see if I can pull this up. And I learn a lot from how they break it down, right? These are the scores they give on a scale from 9 to 1. And this was a scoring sheet for offensive players. First column is quarterbacks, running backs, fullbacks, wide receivers. And when you see that's a slot wide receiver, SWR. This is tight ends, tackles, guards, and centers. And as you read them, what block do you put them in? How do you evaluate them in comparison to your own team? I learn a lot about scouting. I don't want to be a scout, right? I'm a social media personality. I'm a content creator. But learning this aspect of the job has been really neat because I understand what their desired end state is. And oftentimes it's to help a team understand who's available in the draft that's better than the people they have on their team. It's a little different than the way some people think. But it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Shout out to you, Reagan, for being here and knowing that part of the job. Who's better at high school football, Bay Area or San Diego? Give me San Diego all day. RC Cola and salami sandwich, kid days. Bruh, I ain't never had salami in my life. That's some, and I'm telling you right now, Eric Gonzalez, you seem Mexican, you seem Hispanic. I'm going to say it straight, and I ain't racist, but that's some white shit, bro. I never ate salami in my life. You ain't putting no meat in my mouth, dude. Do you think Mizzou football can turn some heads this year if Brady Cook can take a step forward? Sure, Jake. If he can take a step forward, if he can beat out Jake Garcia, beat out Sam Horn, they got 3 quarterbacks that are all kind of, everybody wants to see them play. Shout out to Missouri. I hope they do some great things. They got a new offensive coordinator in Kirby Moore. Good luck, bro. Shooter's going to shoot. Rizzy Neutron. Don't miss. I got a PhD in Rizzic. Get at me. What do you think about the MAC conference, especially Toledo? So I like the MAC. I think it's competitive, and I like Toledo. They're usually in the top 3 of the conference. This year, I have Ohio winning that conference, but Toledo is not bad. They have a great wide receiver, great quarterback. We'll see what happens. Why are softball players are complaining about leaving the Pac-12, knowing, damn, they're not bringing any revenue for sure. So Mac-10, I don't even care that they're complaining about leaving the Pac-12. You know what they can do? They can do what all the other softball players did, which is jump in the portal and go to Eastern Washington. All right? Jump in the portal and go to Oregon State if you don't want to travel across the country. Stop complaining. Jump in the portal like everybody else has a right to do. You have every right to do it. I want to know how long the flights are from Hawaii to the mainland. I've flown to Hawaii. Somebody tell me how long the flights are from Hawaii to the mainland. Because Hawaii has the longest travel schedule. I don't hear any of their other sports complaining. Tell me how far the flight is from Notre Dame to Miami. I don't hear that nobody complaining. There's independent teams all over this damn country. There's other sports being played by other schools. It's ridiculous. Just some soft-ass shit that everybody wants to talk about. And you want to know another thing, guys? I'm going to give it to you guys straight. I made a video about a kid from Eastern Michigan, Zach Conti, getting his scholarship. And I blamed the coach and I blamed his parents. Well, the young man reached out to me, and I'm going to keep our conversation private. And I'm not going to put it on blast in public and all that shit. I'm going to tell you guys this. I was right. What for now? Appeal submitted. I got reported for hateful speech on my TikTok, y'all. I just got banned on TikTok. Outrageous. I'm doing a show, and I just got banned on TikTok. It says hateful speech. What did I say that was hateful? Nah, you're wrong for that. Shout out to Reagan. Don't sleep on Andre Green Jr. He had multiple receptions and a touchdown against Oregon in the bowl game last year. He was top 50 in the country. UGA, Clemson were on him. He was a massive win. Okay. Only way FSU can get out of a relationship is for the ACC to cheat with Stanford and Cal. Hey, never negotiate with terrorists. Cracking me up. Shout out to you. What's up, Rico? Sorry I'm late, bro. Sorry, hey, it's okay. Go to the start of the live stream and start watching it at 1.25 speed, and you'll catch up. That's how that goes. Will you be doing breakdowns and predictions on game days? I'm going to do it days before, not game day itself, days before. If FSU go to the Big Ten, they will become mediocre. I don't believe so. I don't think they'll ever be mediocre. North Carolina Central, HBCU. Oh, no, I'll never talk. I can't talk about HBCUs or anybody in the 1AA because I only cover FBS. What is the move for Gonzaga? The move is get paid. Pepperdine and SFU academics. Yeah, I came to your live just to ask if you saw Bronny Ramsey Brooks. Then I saw you posted the video on him 3 hours before all the major sports outlets. outlets swear they're watching the content. Keep it up. Yeah, Nick, that's exactly what it is. So if you guys see me post a video and then all these other websites start posting stories or videos about it or similar or the exact player, they're watching my channel, bro. Check the timestamps. Check the date stamps. I beat everybody. Somebody's watching me. There are websites, news outlets that just sit there watching my channel and then create the show of me. That's what it is. Fluent and Chilltown are good, but I don't think they know much at all about college football. That's why they're asking me to come over and do the show, Marcus. Come over and do the football show. They're the basketball guys. Where does Virginia Tech end up in realignment? They're right where they need to be. Nah, man, real ones know we don't want you to get weird with some clickbait artists, for sure. Yo, Rico, what position do you think I should play? I'm 6', 189, sophomore. I play offensive tackle and guard right now. I don't know your speed and athleticism. Richard Sherman is a part-time on Undisputed. He will only be there 50 to 100 days, which is only 5 months max. No, remember, they don't do weekends. Just remember, they don't do weekends, and he'll be there 3 times a week. Rico, I'm fairly new to your content, but what will be your content look like college football season begins? Sergio, I'm going to keep making my content on TikTok like I always do, but when it comes to live streaming, I'll be doing my show Monday through Friday. On Saturdays, I'll be live streaming while I watch games. Lil Wayne being the weekly. UGA fires the only surviving staffer from the wreck. Exactly. It's outrageous. Hey, Rico, I was able to be at our Auburn first half practice today, and Robbie Ashford and Holden Garner took 90% of the first string snaps. Peyton Thorne mostly stayed third string and was rough. Yeah, he's not very good. I told everybody that. How do you think Rocco Becht will do filling in for Deckers at ISU? Oh, I was hoping Rocco wasn't the guy. I was hoping it was the big kid. The JJ? I was hoping it was the big kid, the new recruit, the 6'7" kid. Rico, thanks for your insightful response regarding conference membership compensation. As a Big Ten traditionalist, I used to think equality or equity was optimal. I've since changed your mind. Your answer solidifies. There you go. I know they sucked last year and doubt you have spent much time on them, but what are your thoughts on Nevada football next year and their future? Nick Giltner, Nevada lost 10 games in a row last year. They have a great head coach, Ken Wilson, shout out to you, former linebackers coach at Oregon. They just got Dylan Hopkins to transfer in from UAB because they got Brian Vincent as a new offensive coordinator. Don't you ever doubt my knowledge of Nevada football. I've studied every single FBS team. Doesn't matter who it is, okay? So I'm big on Nevada. I think they're doing great. They got great transfers. Shout out to Sean Dollars. They got transfers from Oregon. Never assume I don't know your team. That's crazy talk. Hope they do well. I met Coach Creighton, may have been spelled wrong, from EAMU. One of the realest guys I've met, a little intense, but they'll always hold their own. Yep. Thoughts on Ryan Williams and KJ Lacey? Saw him play versus Homewood. Both are crazy talented. Yo, Rico, can you name your top 5 returning SEC players this coming up season? Yo, Rico, can you name your top 5 SEC players coming up this season? Number 1, Judkins. 2, Perkins. 3, Daniels. 4, give me somebody. Oh, I'm sorry. Number 1, Brock Bowers. 2, Judkins. 3, Perkins. 4, Daniels. 5, Wells. There you go. I got to set a reminder to hop into YouTube for your show. It's been a ton of fun, man. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I ran a 6'5" 40, and I'm on the big side. I'm just big and slow. Bro, you're 190. You're 190, 189, 6 foot, 189, running a 6'5" 40? Are you a sloth? Are you the marshmallow man? Why are you so slow? Don't answer that. It's a rhetorical question. Hey, thanks for being here tonight, guys. I appreciate all the support, all the love. You know, we do this every single night. We can't do this without you. Thank you so much. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows.
When they come, and they will, they'll come for you.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
Oh, I thought the beast had wandered off.
You're missing the point. There's no throne. There is no version of this where you come out on top.
Let me infiltrate the beat, concentrate the heat. If you ain't on my level, fuck it, let me be. I'll be going till it's all in motion, talking killing rappers, then I hit my quota. And my train of thought is more a locomotive, talking reason for it, I got locomotive. Used to be on a revenge tip, on a stun on my ex in a France tip. I was Spider-Man whipping the black suit, I was powerful but almost lost Luke. Blurring the line between human and artist, try not to change but I swear it's the hardest. I swear when you're up they turn you to a target. Home was a trip, my life ain't when I'm talking. So, what it take to be an icon? all on your desktop, so I just might already be one. My me with the label, it feels on the table, one sign, but I'm down for a free lunch. Just speaking my heat-seeking missiles of hits, but other than me, I see no heat exists. Yo, gassed up, I'm about to go green, go green, go green. Hulk smash if she know me, know me, know me. Write it to life like I'm Stan Lee, Stan Lee, Stan Lee. If life's about to be a cold war, I'm the hero that they asked for. Green, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go, I'm about to go green. I'm about to go green. Get the fuck back, I'm about to go green. I might begin making a feature Iraq. Cause when I hit your beat, I turn shit to Iraq. Dropping bombs like I'm cursing you out. This your house, then I'm kicking you out. Quiet as a mouse, came in the game, not a word is out that I've been lighting the flame. Shit is potent, don't you know it? I've been flowing steady, growing till they know the name. Saw it ahead of time, knew that I'd get to my losing myself in the